Hey, what's good YouTube? Target here and welcome to another episode of Design and Manage my City Skylines and Modded Let's Play series. On the last episode we have finished, or have almost finished, the Leisure Island. The island that has the airport and the main source of leisure in the city. And today I think it's finally time for us to inaugurate a new island, so let me just explain to you what I have in mind for today. Okay, so you have probably guessed it. Today we are going to work on this little island over here. This is something that I have been wanting to work on for quite a while, but there have been other priorities, and today I think we can start working on this little thing. At least we can create the main access points, the main highway on and off points, the main structure of the road layout, and also the main structure of the monorail line, and perhaps we can even incorporate a station already. Now, the plans for this island, I think I want to make it into a self-sufficient building island, so the districts that came out with Green Cities DLC, and something similar to what I've done over here. So this is a self-sustaining and local produce district. So that's the exact same thing that I want to do here. But in this island I want everything to be low density. So this is going to be an area dedicated to low density houses. Okay guys, so I believe I've explained everything that needed to be explained. Now I'm going to build everything. I'm going to turn it into time lapse as usual, and I'll meet you in a couple of minutes to show you what I have done. So enjoy the time lapse, guys. Alrighty, so the new structure of the island is finally complete. I believe we can start zoning some stuff in here, but before that, let me just explain you what was my thought process behind this. So as you can see, the layout is still very incomplete. I have developed the northern part of the island, but I still need to figure out what I want to do with this southern side, because I have the highway right in the middle, so that's something to think about. I have tried to make this layout as simple as possible. If I just activate the road guidelines, we can see how the traffic is supposed to flow. So if you're coming from this side of the city, if you're coming from the leisure island, you will have the chance to get out over here. And when you get about at this junction, you can turn right and go to this part of the layout, or you can come all the way until the roundabout and go left, which is something that is wrong. So thank God I figured this out. And so, as I was saying, you can come all the way to this roundabout and go and catch this road to go to this part of the layout. Likewise, if you're coming from the left side of the city, from this little island over here, you can catch this off-ramp that kind of simulates a trumpet interchange, but not quite, and go and make a loop and merge into the exact same road. To get out of the layout, the process is very similar. You can either catch this road in the right side of the city, to catch this roundabout which leads to this road, which can either lead you to this on-ramp that leads you to this highway, or to this on-ramp as well that leads you to the opposite side. So you can either choose which side you want to go. Likewise, you can also catch this road here, this one-way road that will lead you to the same point. So I believe this layout is going to be very effective in managing traffic, especially because this is all going to be low density residential and also commercial. I might even have gone a bit too overboard. Perhaps such a layout was not necessary, but we'll see how it goes. Finally, I have placed this monorail station. I've tried to make it as central as possible, but unfortunately I have the highway right in the middle. But I think this area has pretty good coverage, especially because I'm gonna have some bus lines that will take people from every single neighborhood of this island, of course, to this station. And I believe I managed to incorporate it pretty well with the interchange. I think it looks pretty good. So yeah guys, I believe we are ready to start zoning some stuff in here. Before that I need to make some preparation. First I need to provide everything with water. Power is already set, so we have this temporary power line providing power to the monorail station and also to the rest of the island. But we still need to place some pipes here, so that's what I'm gonna do first. Okay, so now everything is piped down with water. Now I believe the only thing that we have to do is set up the district, so that's something that I'm gonna do right now. Okay, pretty cool. I will round up these edges here when I develop the layout to this southern part, but for now we can set up the main policies, which are not policies by the way, they're specializations. So let's turn it into self-sufficient buildings and also into organic and local produce. And there we go. So I believe now we are ready to start zoning some stuff in here. So let's just start working on that. I think I'm gonna start with some commercial. This is something that we can adjust later on, but for now I think I'll zone the area right next to the monorail station as commercial. So I think we can zone all of this to make a few shops, perhaps even these areas in between. This road is going to be a very important access for people to go from one way of the layout to the other without crossing the interchange. So this is going to be a very populated area so I believe this can also be commercial because of that. So there we go, and I believe we can now start making and placing our first residential buildings. I want to avoid zoning in these two segments because well, if I zone stuff in here, people have no other way to go but to get out of the layout, so this is not a good access point. And the same thing over here. So yeah, I'm gonna try to avoid zoning there. So let's grab some residential, and I believe we can start by zoning this entire segment, this entire piece of layout with residential. Okay, I believe this is a good start. Let's watch it develop. Okay, so the first buildings are already growing, and it seems that we already have some vehicles getting into town, although not that many, because this is a self-sufficient district. But yeah, this is developing quite nicely. Perhaps we can start now focusing on services, and the first thing that I want to do is obviously enable the monorail station and also make a few monorail stops and bring the monorails into this part of town. So let's make a couple of stops, and yeah, there you go. This entire area now has access to the rest of the town by public transport, which is pretty cool. Let's check out the leisure situation. Yeah, as you can see, I don't know guys, I've touched this on a past episode, but I think the park situation might be bugged because well, I have no parks in this location whatsoever, and everything is bright blue. I don't know why this is happening. I don't know why this area is not requiring any leisure. People I've said that was because I have placed the Castle of Lord Chirpwick, but that's not what it does exactly. What this thing does is increase the attractiveness of all the unique buildings by 25%. That doesn't mean that the attractiveness radius expands infinitely. So this area, because it's so far away from anything in the town, should require some leisure. So I don't know what's going on. Perhaps it's another unique building that I've placed, or another monument that I've placed that is causing this effect. But I cannot really tell for sure. Let me know if you have any idea why this area is not requiring any leisure. But anyway, we can start now focusing on other services. We are definitely going to need a school here, so I think I'm going to put it in a very central location, perhaps here. This is the downside of having a circular layout, which is it's hard to find places where to fit stuff, but I believe this is a good place for it, at least for now. And we also need a firehouse, and we are probably going to need a police station as well. But for the firehouse, I believe we can put it right here. Okay, pretty central as well. And it seems that we have no problem with police, so let's keep it at that. Let's not put any police station here. Another thing that I want to do is beautify the roads of this layout a bit better. I've placed the regular roads, but I want to convert them into something prettier, so I believe we can turn all of this into some roads with trees incorporated. Another thing that I want to do is replicate this little roundabout that I've done here and put it here. And instead of having a monorail station, I'm going to have, or I believe I'm going to have, the only high school that this island is going to have. So I believe one single high school is going to be enough to cover this entire layout. But for that I need to make a roundabout to make it a bit symmetrical, so let's start working on that. So the distance from this intersection to this intersection is 640. And from here is 800, so we need to remake this. Let's go all the way to 640. Now we can start making the loop. it's first off it starts with a straight road that costs 160. So let's try and replicate that over here. 160, there we go. This little segment is 160 as well. So yeah, we can now start finishing everything off. Now that we have the basic measurements. Cool, we can start now converting it to one-way roads. There we go, perhaps we can even convert this entire thing. Actually, this is not a one-way road here, but it should be, so let me just convert it in this side as well. It's not going to have that much of an effect because the traffic here is so low, but why not? Let's do it anyway. Oh, did you see the airplane? Pretty cool. Yeah, finally another thing that I want to do is make another bridge that connects this roundabout to this roundabout, just like I've done here. I want to make it cross from one way to the highway to the other, so that people can cross easily from one way of the highway to the other without having to interfere with the main structure of traffic. So adding another one of these passes is going to be helpful, I believe, especially because we are going to have a high school here that is going to be an attraction for a lot of people. So let's make that bridge. Okay, I believe that's fine. And it seems that we're also having a problem with workers. People do not want to work here for whatever reason, even though they should, because they're only requiring uneducated workers, and all of these people living here are uneducated. Yeah, the logic in these games, sometimes it does not make a lot of sense. Because we have enough people here to feed this entire commercial area with workers. But anyway, let's just wait a little bit and see how well this thing develops. Oh, and by the way, look at this thing. This is a 1x4 commercial building. It creates these 4 little stands right next to each other. I never actually got this building before. I believe it's very suitable to this location. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Just a curiosity that I wanted to point out. But anyway, let's keep zoning some stuff in here. I think I now want to develop the area to this side. So let's zone some stuff here. So I believe I'm gonna zone this little road as well, just like I've done in this side. Now let's put some residential buildings here. And perhaps we can zone this entire thing with residential as well. So let's try and do that. We have a lot of demand for all of these things, so growing over here is not going to be a problem. Alright, so I've covered this entire thing with zones, but as time goes by, perhaps we can demolish some houses and place some buildings or some unique buildings, perhaps some parks, if we ever need some. But anyway, I believe that is going to be it for now. I also think just a little bit of commercial is going to be enough to provide leisure to this entire area. We'll see. And I think the only thing that we should do now is wait for these buildings to develop and start working on the bus lines. So let's see, what is the status of this high school? It has 198 students out of 300, so we are definitely going to need another elementary school that I'm going to place in the exact same location of the other one. So let's try to make this symmetrical. Let's place it right here. Okay. It also seems that we have some people with elementary school here, so perhaps it's time for us to place the high school. And as I've said, I'm gonna place it in this central location as well. We just need to wait for the power to transfer from one way to the other, but in the meantime I am going to turn these things off. And I think now it's time for us to start working on the bus lines. So let's raise the land value of this thing by making some lines. Oh, and before that, before I forget, let me just convert all of these to roads with trees. Okay, cool. And the traffic here is so low that I don't even think I need the one-way roads to go all the way until the end, so let's convert these to normal roads. Just these little end segments. These ones will keep them because they're main accesses for the city. Let's also make a temporary power connector because these power signs are pissing me off a little bit. So let's rework them. And now we can start working on the bus lines. So I think I'm gonna make a line that covers this entire area in a loop. Perhaps we can start in the monorail station. Let's make a stop at the high school. Make a stop by the elementary school. Another here, another one here. Another one by this block. Let's go up a little bit. Make some stops here and here, and now we can connect everything back pretty much. Now let's do the same line but clockwise. And for this one perhaps we can even go to the upper side just to mix things up a little bit. And wrap it around here. Okay, pretty cool. Something that I should do is move this elementary school a bit closer to the bus stops. Now let's rezone these houses. And maybe I can do the same with this high school in this location as well. Let's move it to this side. You know what, let's keep it where it is, it's no big deal, really. Before I move on to other areas of the city, let me just zone this with a bit of commercial, just so we can get power to transfer over to the high school so that I can enable it. And maybe zone a few more residents. Okay, power has transferred over, so now we can enable this little high school, make all the citizens happy, and let's also enable this elementary school as well, for the time being. And of course, we are going to need a secondary firehouse. Let's place it here, let's make it symmetrical. Okay guys, we are now having a lot of movement in this area. We have a lot of trucks coming into the city to bring goods, and we also see a bit of cars. But in order for these things to develop, I will have to wait until education settles down, because they're all requiring a bit more educated citizens. So while that thing develops, education is something that takes a lot of time. Perhaps we can start decorating this area that is already developed with some pathways. So you guys already know me, you know that I love building pathways. So today is not going to be any different. Let's start and try to do something with these empty areas that we have here. So perhaps we can make a pathway, for example, that leads people all the way over here and connects all of these things together. Let's try to make a connection right next to the intersection. Okay, there we go. I have decided to make an organic shape, or as organic as possible, while also not taking a lot of zoning space. And I believe this is pretty cool. So yeah, we got that out of the way. I will definitely want to do the same in this big empty area. So let's do that. Okay, seems about right. And let's also convert these pathways to pathways with trees, which is something that I've forgotten to do. I've also built this dead end over here because I am going to connect this road with this roundabout eventually. And this will be a connector. Now let's try and do something similar with these segments here, because this is going to be a very empty area. Okay guys, the pathway network is now complete. In the future I will have to expand the same thing that I've done in this side to this little area as well, to this side of the city. But for now the central area, which is also the most important one, is complete. And it seems that people are using it a lot of people are using them. People love pathways in this game, as predicted. And I believe when I decorate everything with rocks and trees, this area is going to be even more pleasing. However, there's also something that I have forgotten. You may already know what it is, and that is healthcare. I've totally forgotten about that. So first and foremost, we are going to need a clinic, and I think I'm gonna put one right here. That should be enough to cover this entire area. And we also need some cemeteries. Let's see how well that thing looks. Yeah, I think it looks pretty cool. This is a good place to put a cemetery because cemeteries do not modify the terrain, unlike zone buildings, which, as you can see, are already messing up this thing quite a bit. But yeah, I think this is a very good place for a cemetery. But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for today. We have managed to build quite a lot in this little island. And on the next episode we are going to continue to progress and perhaps finish up the entire layout. Who knows? I hope you have enjoyed this video. If you have, don't forget to subscribe if you haven't done so already to get notified every time I post a new City Skylines video. Thank you so much for watching, guys, and as always, have fun.